What's going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of HOOD Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. When you grow up in a certain environment, seeing people lose their lives, shots going on outside your front door daily, drug sales, and people gnawing out on every corner, for most people, they look at it as living in pain and trauma. And for some, they realize early on, the goal is to make it out and not become a product of your environment. It's a lot of ways to do that. Some use their mind, get a good education, go to college, and get a successful career. Others might use their skills, like playing sports, in hopes they can use the abilities they have on the court or field to make it out. But for a lot of people, they lean more towards music, being an artist. They feel like what better way to make it than speaking my truth, saying what I have been through, the reality of how it is in my neighborhood, and get paid just to tell my story. A lot of people have become extremely successful just by putting words together, explaining what goes on in inner cities all over America. But if you are one of the lucky ones to make it out, you have to be ready for what comes next. For some strange reason, when you start to elevate in life, the same people you were on them corners with, ducking police with, start to look at you like you are fake or phony. You are not in that same mindset. You might move from the trenches. Now in their mind, you forgot where you came from and turned your back on your peoples. For a lot of individuals that have made it, that's their soft spot. They want to prove they can still walk these same blocks, show love to their peoples, and embrace where they came from. But we see it all the time. You can stay down and connected to the people, show love, but the feelings are not always mutual. Jealousy and hate is real, and unfortunately, sometimes the worst thing an individual could do is try to prove they are still the same person they once was when they was trying to make it out. And on this episode of HOOD Tales, we'll be taking it to New Orleans, Louisiana, to discuss the case of a rapper who got backdoored by his day one homie in a cold and sneaky way. Back in 2018, 34-year-old Theodore Jones was on top of the world. The New Orleans native had been through a lot, but he survived the city full of violence and poverty and made a way for himself and family by putting his experiences in music, as he was a rapper and went by the stage name Young Greatness. He first hit the scene back in 2012, but really got notoriety in 2015, gained worldwide recognition, hit the top 100 charts with his hit single, Moolah. He had made big connections in the industry, tied to Cash Money, Interscope, and by 2018, QC, Quality Control. He had just dropped another album a year prior and was touring the world, doing interviews and painting a picture of how it was for him growing up in the NO. Described as laid back, all about his money and peoples, Young Greatness had found his lane and was able to move him and his family away from New Orleans to Atlanta. It seemed it was only up for the rapper. Talented and focused, he was destined for success. And like his name, greatness. Like many of us that come from certain environments, he wanted to let it be known he never forgot where he came from and would always be there for his peoples. In October of 2018, tragedy struck, and Young Greatness got news that somebody back home he was close to had passed away. He headed back home to New Orleans from Atlanta to show love and attend a funeral. While in town, he would get a call from a childhood friend, at the time 38-year-old Donald Rose, stating, "Bro, it's been a minute. I heard you was in town. Come holler at me." The rapper, thinking Donald was a day one homie, he didn't want to seem fake or out of reach. So he stated, "Bet, where you at?" He told him he was at a Waffle House right outside of the city. So Young Greatness headed to the location. This night, It was October 29th, 2018. When he pulled up to the restaurant in Elysian Fields, everything seemed normal. Donald came outside to greet him. The two men caught up and chopped it up. As fans walked up, they were all shocked. The rapper was at the spot, no security, solo dolo. He signed autographs, and after him and Donald finished their conversation, Young Greatness got in his whip and FaceTimed his manager. Donald walked back in the restaurant. As the rapper reversed out the parking lot, two masked men popped out the cut. Seconds later, multiple shots went off, before one of them sped off with Young Greatness' car after pulling him out the whip. Witnesses called NOPD, who responded to the location to find who they thought was somebody from the restaurant laying in the street suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. But they kept hearing people state that's Young Greatness before one of them realized who the rapper was. But unfortunately, he will be pronounced gone at the scene. Police talked to witnesses, but most of them stated they only heard the shots. Nobody saw or knew what happened. The only thing they could do was go off surveillance footage from the Waffle House. As the community received the news the rapper was hit, most people were in shock. Others were confused, why he was dead by himself with no security in the first place. As the community mourned the rapper, police got their first lead. They realized the man Young Greatness was talking to in a white t-shirt fled not long after the shooting. Without calling police, even at the scene, the rapper laying on the ground shot. They also realized it was two shooters who popped out from the Waffle House dumpster, like they were already laying and waiting. They tracked down the vehicle that was stolen from the rapper through city cameras and realized the man in the white t-shirt followed the rapper's car, now driven by the shooters, all the way to the west bank of the city. They was caught on Ring camera when all of them left the one car and got into the man with the white t-shirt's car. Police ran the tags and it was registered to a woman. They searched her social media and realized a man in multiple pictures with her fit the description of the man in the white t-shirt who was talking to Young Greatness. She was brought in for questioning. She stated that was her baby father, Donald, who was driving the car that night. When asked about Young Greatness, she stated yeah, they knew each other. The two of them were very close friends. Now a suspect, police were looking for Donald. But before they located the man, they would pick up a 15-year-old teen named Levance Wicks on unrelated charges. To police surprise, the young man stated he had a confession and stated he was a part of a hit on a rapper. He claimed the older man, a family member, recruited him and another one of their teen cousins, Donnie Maxwell, to help set up and rob his friend, rapper Young Greatness. He gave them guns, drove them to the Waffle House, and told them lay in a dumpster until he gave them the signal. The man he was talking about was Donald. Police now knowing he put the whole play together and what was supposed to be a robbery, they was hot on the man's trail. They took the teen into custody. Not too long after, Donnie was also arrested. Days later, surprisingly, Donald walked into the police station and turned himself in. He remained silent, but was charged with second-degree hit. As the story was painted that Donald, who was Young Greatness' friend, got his two little cousins to come with him to rob the man. Police felt like the whole time they was talking, Donald knew exactly what was about to happen. It's not clear if they got anything out the situation. A lot of people pointed to it as hate and envy. As the case made its way to trial, Levance, who was the youngest, his charges was dropped to manslaughter and weapon violations, and he was sentenced to the least amount of time, 20 years. Donnie, who was found out to be the one who fired the fatal shot, was found guilty on manslaughter and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Donald, who was pointed to as the mastermind who got the young man to do his dirty work, was found guilty on second-degree hit and given life in prison. Rest in peace to Young Greatness. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. He, like many others, is a prime example. No matter how real you try to be, keep it a buck with your hood and day one peoples, everybody won't be happy for you and your success. Sometimes it's okay to separate yourself. One of the hardest decisions I had to make was leaving Baltimore. I felt like I was leaving my peoples. but nobody knew or even cared why I was leaving in the first place. I was mentally breaking down, fighting demons, almost crashed out, went back to prison, depressed after losing my great grandmother, facing eviction. I can go on and on. It's crazy how nobody paid that no mind or even cared until I left to better myself and my situation. Now I'm the phony one. You can love your peoples, your city, and never forget where you come from a distance. Because the only thing worse than an enemy is fake friends and family. Don who played the situation so cold, he lured the man, dapped young greatness up, chopped it up with him, knowing he had laid the trap. The messed up thing is, the rapper was only in town for a funeral. He was about to go back to Atlanta. But I'm going to leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts about the situation. And if you can relate to coming from a certain place and trying to grow mentally or financially to make it out, let me know your experiences. If people look at you like you were fake or switching up, let me know in the comments. And remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, crazy story. Rest in peace to young greatness. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of Hood Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop another video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Y'all keep up with me. It's a lot of twists and turns in this story. But with that being said, let's get right into it. In this cold and evil world, for a lot of people, they lean on to things that get them through everyday life. It could be vices like smoking, drinking, or harder drugs, just to get by. Of course, we shouldn't judge no one because you never know what people are going through or past traumas they have to deal with that makes them carry themselves how they do to cope in life. While those things are often pointed to as negative vices, you also have people that have positive vices. That could be going to the gym, meditation, but for a lot of individuals, they rather put their trust, pain, and fear into the hands of a higher power. While some just wake up and pray to whatever higher being they believe in, others need more of a fellowship and physical connection. So they lean more towards the church. For centuries, the church house has been a place of peace, refuge, understanding, and guidance for individuals that need a good word or to build a stronger connection with God. And of course, in most churches, you have the big man's in the sky right-hand man, the pastor, who is supposed to have a direct line with the Most High and deliver you the word as it is given to him. Now, of course, you have good pastors who live modest lives, believe in helping the people, giving back to the community, and will never cross certain lines. But on the flip side of that, the reason a lot of people have fell back from the church is the hustler preachers, finessing the congregation, being a little bit too friendly with the women in the church, as we all have seen or heard a church scandal. People don't usually realize how much power they give to a preacher. And actually for most, it's a sin they don't even realize they are committing, worshiping a false idol, not realizing we are all human and fall short. But when the betrayal comes from the place and people you hold to the highest regard, that pain hits a little different. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to Detroit, Michigan to discuss the story of a man who accused his pastor of getting his wife pregnant, leading to a fatal confrontation. All the way back in 2015, 25-year-old Deontay Smith was on top of the world. He was in the prime of his life, athletic, coming from a high school football star to playing semi-pro football for the Michigan Lightning. The young man had a rough upbringing, growing up in Detroit's 7 Mile neighborhood. He wasn't really that close with his father, and in his early years, he gravitated more towards the street life. But after realizing the blocks and cities we claim so much bring so much death and destruction, Deontay left that life alone, made a change for the better, and put all that pain into football. On the field, he was a beast, showing his skills and dedication. But off the field, the young man was going through changes and evolving spiritually. In one live video, he spoke on the street cycle, how many people he lost, claiming neighborhoods that didn't belong to none of them. He stated he just wanted to be the best man he could be and walk by faith and become closer to the Most High. And Deontay wasn't just talking, he was living and walking that life. About 4 years prior, he turned his life over to God and started attending a small church in Detroit, ran by a man in his 30s, Pastor Keon Allison. The pastor was well loved by the community and married for years, and it seemed like he was a solid, righteous man, in which Deontay admired him for. The two men ended up getting real close, and Deontay looked at Pastor Keon as a father figure. He even brought him into his personal life, in which Deontay had a woman in his life that he was serious about, named Takir. The two had known each other for years and had been together for a minute. And as years went by, they went on a spiritual journey together. She also was a member of the church and close to the pastor. Deontay, feeling like Takir was the one for him and taking Pastor Keon's advice, even proposed to the young lady. And no one was better to marry the two than Pastor Keon. Now with his last name, him and Takir were one under the Most High, and life seemed perfect for Deontay. His wife, football, the church, and spiritual father, his pastor. Pastor played a major role in helping the young couple financially and giving them words of wisdom, speaking from experience, because at that time, he had also been in a 15-year marriage. But as time went on, Deontay started growing suspicious on how close his wife and pastor had become. He would notice the pastor texting her and not him, her claiming she was going to certain church events he wasn't aware of, and her demeanor kept changing day by day. At first, he brushed it off, like, nah, I'm geeking, as Deontay felt he had a good woman by his side and pastor would never. But things got ugly when one day Deontay suspected his wife was pregnant and hiding it from him. At first, he was excited, thinking they were having a child. He kept asking her, like, are you pregnant? But she kept denying it. But by this point, he knew she was, because her lady friend that came every month disappeared altogether, and he saw the morning sickness and other signs as well. A few weeks would go by, and Deontay noticed Takir just go back to normal, and he thought, how is that possible? I know she was pregnant. That's when he got word his wife had went to a clinic behind his back and got what he thought was his seed removed from her body. Now his mind was spinning, and wanting the truth, he confronted her about it and even went through her phone. That's when he saw inappropriate messages between her and Pastor Keon. It was at that time a light bulb clicked in the young man's head. The secret trips his wife was going on with the church, the pastor acting shady, his wife pulling back, he came to the conclusion Takir was having an affair with Pastor Keon, and that baby wasn't his. That's why she kept lying and went and pulled that move without telling him. Crushed, he kept asking his wife for the truth. And what hurt him the most is when he spoke to friends and other members of the church about his suspicions, people were not surprised at all. Feeling played, Deontay contacted the pastor, who denied everything, telling him, you are like a son to me. I would never. But things just kept playing in the young man's head. The pastor giving him money, advising him to marry Takir, him guiding their relationship. It all seemed like an elaborate plot, and he felt his wife was the pastor's side chick. Deontay went on a Facebook run, asking questions, tagging pastor and the church members, telling everybody how corrupt and evil they were, knowing this was going on behind his back. But everybody told the young man he was geeking or just pray about it. But Deontay knew what he knew. And at that point, some friends were even telling him, like, yeah, bro, the truth is out now. Glad it came to you. He put posts up like divorced, showing he was putting Take's things out. But he soon started feeling like everybody played him like a sucker. Deontay fell back off the church and left Take, but he still wanted to talk to the man he looked up to as a father, face to face, man to man. Knowing all the pastor's hustles and jobs, even where he lived at, on September 16th, 2015, Deontay decided he would go to pastor's house early that morning. When he pulled up, he demanded the pastor and his wife give him all his ties back. Now feeling like everybody took his kindness for weakness, that 7 Mile street side was coming back out. He threatened the pastor and his wife, causing them to call police. Deontay was taken into custody, detained, but released later that night. He then texted the pastor, threatening the man and telling him, like, just tell the truth, bro. Knowing the pastor had a gig working overnight as security, he texted him 2:30 in the morning, saying check on your house and your family. Scared, Keon called police to do a welfare check, but everything was normal. Doing all that, the pastor kept preaching, denying the allegations, even speaking sermons about marriage, relationships, and the importance of a man not spreading himself thin and committing to one woman. Telling the congregation he had been with his wife for over 15 years. And the Facebook post Deontay made about him and Take was simply lies. Hearing that pastor kept denying what he felt he knew was true, on October 16th, Deontay went to Keon's day job at an auto shop to confront the man. But the pastor saw his car pulling up, saw Deontay grab a bat and ran to the back, jumped in his car before Deontay caught him. The young man hit the car with a bat, breaking the window before Keon sped off. But it was clear the young man was on his heels and wanted answers. But Deontay knew exactly where to catch the pastor and Take at, so nobody could run, and he could confront them together face to face. That was at the church. On Sunday, October 18th, 2015, he pulled up to the afternoon service and walked in, in which some speculated the young man had a piece of brick in his hand. He confronted Take before telling Pastor Keon to come talk to him man to man. They alleged he even pushed the pastor's mother down. As some of the men from the congregation took Deontay in another room to talk to him, they told him he had to leave, in which he agreed. But when the young man came out the room, he proceeded to approach the pastor, who then upped the gun and shot once, before then shooting multiple times. Detroit police were called to the church about shots fired, and when they arrived, they found Deontay suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. And unfortunately, at just 25 years old, the young man passed away at the scene from his injuries. Most people of the congregation refused to talk to police. Others claimed Deontay had a brick and was confronting the pastor about having an affair with his wife. Pastor Keon was taken in for questioning, but released that same night, causing Deontay's family to be in pain and outrage. Friends and relatives confirmed his story, saying Take admitted to him everything, and the pastor was trying to deny it to keep a clean image for the church. They stated Deontay was a good dude, but he was hurt about the situation and how a person he looked up to as a father betrayed him like that. Things really took a turn when the state decided they would drop all charges against the pastor, claiming it was self-defense. This caused Deontay's mother to come forward, claiming she had receipts of the relationship, stating her son told her Take admitted to being pregnant, lied, said she miscarried, but really went to the clinic. She showed text messages after the fact, where she texted Take, also messages she claimed her son screenshotted and sent to her before he lost his life. And one she claimed came from Take's phone after he went to Keon's job, stated, "We can't be together no more. Deontay came to my job and I shot him." His mother felt, even though Pastor didn't shoot that day, and at that time, he was admitting that if Deontay kept looking for answers, he would shoot him. And which just 2 days later, he did. She felt the congregation were all covering up for Keon, lying about what happened, stating Deontay really didn't have a brick. Pastor just wanted him gone. She urged the case to be reopened. But during my research, it seemed like the verdict of self-defense would still stand. Rest in peace to Deontay. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. I know we cover a lot of stories, but this one of them ones that's just cold. The coldest betrayal I ever heard, if everything was true. Pastor Keon treated Deontay like a son, even recommended him to marry Takir, did the ceremony, and whole time was smashing her, and even putting a baby in her, paying the bills. I would have knew something was off right then and there. Like, hold up, Pastor Slick, why you giving my wife money? So I understand why Deontay snapped. He went to the church to change his life, trusted a man who was supposed to be of the cloth for 4 years, let him into his life, and got backdoored. He could have stayed in the streets if he wanted that to happen. But I want to leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts about the situation. And have you ever witnessed or experienced a cruddy pastor or things like this going on at the church? Let me know your experiences in the comments. And remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, super crazy story. Rest in peace to Deontay. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. That's another episode of Hood Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam.
Now, the shooting happened around 11 this morning in the 5300 block of Brook Hollow Drive. Now, 33-year-old Damian Reed was pronounced dead on the scene. Wallace is being charged.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of Hood Tales. In this video, let's take it to Jackson, Mississippi to discuss a case involving a husband and wife and an argument about a social media friend request that spiraled out of control. Before we get into this video, a big thank you to our supporters. I appreciate you all so much. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, you can find the information on the screen, and to support us for absolutely no cost, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and join the Tony 2 times family. Tap that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Also, this video is sponsored by me, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and my YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out and support me. I'll leave the link to it in the description box. And be sure to share this video with everyone you know. Stay tuned until the end to hear all the details. Everything in this story is alleged. All right, let's get into it. Let's face it, social media is a big part of our lives today, but it can have a negative impact on relationships and marriages. One of the biggest issues is jealousy. When someone sees their partner liking, commenting on other people's posts, or sending a friend request, it can create insecurity and tension, even if there's nothing going on. Privacy is another hurdle to overcome, and let's not forget emotional cheating. Messaging an ex or building a close bond with someone online can cross serious boundaries, even if it's not physical. Spending too much time on social media also means less quality time with your partner. It can make someone feel ignored or unimportant. In the end, there should be some kind of balance. Setting boundaries and communicating openly can help protect relationships in a world that's always online. If not, it can build up to a dangerously toxic relationship that can potentially turn fatal. 33-year-old Damian Reed and 30-year-old Rashawn Wallace Reed got married in January 2017. The couple had a blended family and shared a son together. Damian appeared to be a hardworking, devoted father and husband. Rashawn was also a hardworking and dedicated mother. She studied to be a licensed practical nurse at Hines Community College, the largest community college in Mississippi. Shortly after welcoming their son, Damian and Rashawn started a cleaning business together in 2019 called Reed's Elite Cleaning. Rashawn also started her own online beauty business featuring hair and lashes. The couple held down their 9-to-5s while building their businesses. During the course of their marriage, the couple seemed to spend a lot of time in Atlanta, Georgia. It even appeared that Rashawn landed a gig on the hit show BMF in season 2 that filmed in Atlanta. She also worked on P-Valley and considered herself a video vixen. The couple seemed to be building an empire, a budding power couple destined for greatness, a king and his queen. On the outside, looking at their social media pictures, everything seems wonderful, but in reality, there was a storm of distrust intensifying. As Rashawn's social media influence gained traction, she garnered a lot of attention, lots of likes, comments, and engagement with her followers. Damian often shared his wife photos, letting it be known how proud he was to call her his. Damian also had access to Rashawn's social media. On the morning of February 23rd, Damian went onto his wife's social media account and discovered a friend request she made. It seems he decided to confront Rashawn about it, and an argument ensued. Now, why Damian was upset about this particular friend request was not made clear. Nevertheless, the argument continued to escalate. At some point, Rashawn claimed she felt threatened by Damian and got a hold of a firearm. She allegedly fired one warning shot as he approached her, but said Damian refused to back down. That's when Rashawn allegedly pulled the trigger, hitting her husband in the stomach. Rashawn, with her medical training, rendered CPR to her wounded husband and called 911. Responding officers arrived at the home on Brook Hollow Drive at 11:30 a.m. Officers found Damian suffering from a gunshot wound and pronounced him gone at the scene. Children were also present at the home when the tragic incident happened. Rashawn was arrested and charged with slaying her husband. She told investigators she acted in self-defense. She is being held at Hinds County Jail on a $50,000 bond. While Rashawn claims self-defense and that Damian was the aggressor, comments made on social media presented a different perspective. According to this comment from one of Damian's loved ones, Damian never put his hands on Rashawn. They claimed that Rashawn was an alleged habitual cheater and would allegedly always jump on Damian. They claimed Damian would never hurt his wife and was not a man to put his hands on a woman. Rashawn Wallace Reed is innocent until proven guilty. May Damian Reed rest in peace. My condolences and well wishes to his family and loved ones. My heart goes out to the children. This horrible incident could have been avoided had anger and rage not been involved. It's truly a senseless tragedy. They seemed like a lovely couple and loving family, but social media only gives a glimpse into what's really going on in a couple's relationship. From how loving they appear in their photos, Rashawn is now behind bars claiming self-defense for slaying her husband, and Damian's loved ones says she's typically the one to be cheating and the aggressor, allegedly. There are 3 sides to this tragic outcome. Rashawn has told her side. There's Damian's side, but sadly, He's not here to speak for himself. And then there's the truth only God knows. If Rashawn's version is true, then it's her right to defend herself from harm, and the state of Mississippi is a stand your ground state, so she didn't have to retreat. If it's on the other hand untrue that she acted in self-defense, then the state will have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt when she has her day in court. Hopefully, justice is served in this case. Sadly, another story where social media played a part in a senseless loss. Fam, I'm going to leave the rest up to you. Let me know your thoughts on this unfortunate situation in the comment section below. Alright fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times. Until next time.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of HOOD Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. When we meet new people in life, at first, we really don't know who they are. Everybody has an agent or representative of themselves who they introduce to people when they just meet. Not exactly that they are lying, it's more out of protection because you don't know where the relationship or friendship is going to go. And the last thing you want to do is give out permanent information to a person that's temporary in your life. But if you make a real connection, the mask should eventually come off and you open up. Some people will put everything out there once they trust you enough and know y'all are rocking. But others hold back. It could be for personal reasons, fear of judgment, or to finesse an individual and make them believe that you are something you are not. It's a lot of chameleons out here. What I mean by that is they sit around different people, observe the room, listen, then based off that, they camouflage their real selves and become what they think everybody wants them to be. Now you are in a relationship or friendship with somebody who is playing a game. Some people go years believing the trail of lies and deception until the real person reveals themselves, because people can't pretend but for so long. But others peep game a lot faster, knowing in their mind 2 + 2 = 4 every time, not 6. And if you do pull a person's card who thought they were getting over on you and you believe them, you never know what their reaction will be. Some hate to be exposed to the point they will do something drastic. And on this episode of HOOD Tales, we'll be taking it to Pontiac, Michigan to discuss the case of a woman who lost it in an evil way when her boyfriend found out who she really was. Back in 2016, 34-year-old William Bell was living life in Pontiac. The single bachelor had made a good life for himself, and he did that all on his own. A professional photographer who took pride in his work and seeing the beauty in nature and people, his work spoke for itself. William also had a beautiful home on Lydia Lane in Pontiac. One day, he would meet a woman, at the time 32-year-old Marita Talley, but at first, she didn't lead off with her real name. She gave William an alias and also told him she was fresh to the area and had been down on her luck and was homeless. William, being a kind-hearted dude, felt bad for Marita, and as they became quick friends, he offered the young lady a room in his home, as he had more than enough space. And of course, after that, the friendship quickly blossomed into a relationship. As William introduced his new girlfriend to his family, they were happy for him. But after hearing her backstory, some grew suspicious of the woman. For one, she had a brand new Cadillac truck, which the family felt How was she homeless but riding in a brand new car? She had a bunch of expensive purses, shoes, and over 50 wigs. It seemed Marita could look like a different woman every day. They pulled William up on this, but he thought they was just geeking and he brushed it off. But his family had a funny feeling. As time went on, William became concerned after finding multiple IDs in the house and other documents with different names on them. One saying Marita Talley. He decided to do a background check, not knowing the now love of his life by that name. And what he found had the man shocked. Marita had multiple charges in Chicago and Detroit, felonies for felonious assault on a correctional officer, selling her body for pay to play, and right before William met her, he found out she had just been released from prison. Feeling like he didn't know his girlfriend and who she really was, William confronted her with his findings. Now it was 2 years later after they met, now 2018. She brushed it off as not wanting to be defined by her past and not wanting him to judge her. But William wasn't trying to hide. He told his girl he think they needed to go their separate ways. She agreed and stated, just give me a few weeks and I'll be out the house. William and Marita went to his family house for dinner. He made an announcement stating that they were choosing to go their separate ways, and he brought her there to say the final goodbyes. She stood up, hugged everybody, and said, yes, we are done, but I will forever love William. They left for the night, and everybody thought that was that. But on May 11th, local police received a call of a woman stating she just shot her boyfriend. While on the call, more shots rang out. As she stated, he is still moving, and he reached for the gun. When they responded to the scene, it was William's house, and Marita was standing on the porch. She told police she had shot William over 11 times. When they found him, he was sitting upright on the couch with a water bottle between his legs, looking like he was ambushed. It seemed like it was done with the man's own gun, as police searched the home and found the drawer full of ammunition with the gun missing. It was no struggle, and at first, Marita never stated she was attacked. So she was taken into custody, charged with first-degree murder and other charges. As William's family got the news, they were devastated. One of his aunts said the first time she met the young lady, she knew something was off. She was evil and had the devil in her. Other family members said they knew she wasn't right as well. As the case made its way to court, it was described as a man who took in a woman not knowing who she really was. And once he found out, she felt exposed, and before she just left, she wanted to let it be known that she wasn't the one who you just broke up with and took William's life. As witnesses and victims from her previous cases showed up to testify, Marita decided she would take the stand on her own defense. She told the court the day of the shooting, William wanted to go to the store to buy some liquor. She claimed over time he had become a mean drunk and talked crazy to her all the time. She claimed he said, get my gun out the drawer, and which she did. She gave it to the man. Then he went to the store. She said when he got back, they started listening to music and drinking, but his demeanor soon changed. She claimed the man started cussing her out and then pulled out his gun and aimed it at her. That's when she said a struggle ensued and she got the gun and shot the man. But nobody bought that story, including the jury. And in the end, they found Marita guilty of first-degree premeditated hit, and she was sentenced to life in prison. Rest in peace to William. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. Bro had a career, his own crib, and ran across a snake in hills. I think that was Shorty's MO because she was decent looking. She would prey on men looking for companionship. And I feel like William probably was the best guy she caught as far as what he had going on in life for himself. And when he found out who she really was and wanted to move on, she decided, I would rather go back to prison than to let you go be happy. But I want to know y'all thoughts on this situation. And have you yourself ever met a person that lied about who they were or were in a relationship with somebody like that? If so, how did you find out and how did it play out? Let me know in the comments. And remember, we got to succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another HOOD tale. Yeah, man, this was a crazy story. Rest in peace to William. I definitely send my prayers and condolences to his family. But I ain't going to talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's another episode of HOOD Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.